Having spent over 750 hours mastering the complexities of Techtonica and even participating in the construction of the epic factory seen in the game's trailers, I've unearthed some valuable insights along the way. Now, it's time to share this knowledge with you. Today we're covering things I wish I knew sooner about Techtonica. These tips and tricks, refined over countless hours of gameplay, are designed to help you get the most out of your own Techtonica journey, reducing confusion and increasing enjoyment. Remember, there are no storyline spoilers here, so sit back, get comfortable, and let's explore these game-changing insights together. And this brings us to our first tip. Unlocking technologies is the cornerstone of progress in Techtonica, and navigating this can be a little daunting initially. In Techtonica, each tier you unlock presents a variety of new technologies. Some of these are given to you immediately upon unlocking the tier. These are shown on the left side of your screen, while others must be acquired by locating and scanning either a damaged version of the item or a hard drive containing the technology blueprint. After obtaining a new technology, you will need to activate it in the tech tree. This is achieved by assigning specific research cores to that technology. Each technology requires a certain quantity and color of research cores for activation. You can check the number of unassigned cores you currently have at your disposal in the bottom left corner of the tech tree. If you find yourself short the necessary cores, these can be crafted and subsequently placed within the game world to increase your supply. This way, you can continue unlocking and activating new technologies in Techtonica. Moreover, as you progress to higher tiers, unlocking blue core technologies will demand an additional condition: the need for accumulated power. When you hover over a technology in the tech tree, you can see these extra requirements in the detailed description. Now, if you've been wondering about the power metrics showing in the bottom right of your screen, that's your accumulated power stored in your accumulators. More on those later. To activate a technology with power requirements, you must have enough accumulated power. In the case of blue core technologies, the requirement will be 2,000 kilowatts per core required. Upon activation, the required power is drawn from your accumulators, unlocking the technology for your use. Remember, progressing through the tech tree not only opens up new opportunities, but also enhances your gameplay in Techtonica. After you've started getting a hang of unlocking technologies, you'll likely encounter the Core Composer. Now, this is a tool that's going to be pivotal for your progress in the game, and here's how to master it. This large, buildable machine is a pivotal tool for automating the placement of research cores in the game world. The good news is you'll receive your first Core Composer for free when you reach the Victor terminal. Using the Core Composer is straightforward but requires some specific steps. First, install your Core Composer on power floors to ensure it has a functional energy source. Second, produce research cores manually or automate their construction. These cores are then supplied to the Core Composer for placement. The Core Composer operates by stacking the research cores upon itself, reaching as high as the cavern ceilings before starting to spread out, much like an enormous mushroom formation. Note that the Core Composer has a capacity limit. When it is placed as many cores as it can, it will retain a surplus and an internal buffer, up to a maximum of 500 cores. A blinking large X will appear over the Core Composer to signal that it's done with its job and it cannot place any more cores. This will indicate the need to start supplying another composer. There are 3 ways to retrieve the extra cores stored in the Core Composer. 1, use inserters on any of the ports to output the cores to a belt. 2, erase the Core Composer itself and get all buffered cores back at the same time. Or 3, use Mass Collect option to gather the cores stored within. Moreover, removing the Core Composer does not render it unusable. It can be relocated and put back into service. Just place it elsewhere in your game world and begin the feeding process anew. Understanding the workings of the Core Composer is key to effectively using research cores and navigating through the tech tree in Techtonica. Now that you've mastered the Core Composer, let's talk about what happens when you want to move your cores around. This is something you might find yourself wanting to do as your game progresses and your needs change. Our next tip revolves around the flexibility of relocating research cores in Techtonica. If you're dissatisfied with the positioning of your research cores, don't fret. You can always move them to a more suitable location. It's important to note that removing these cores won't cause any activated items in your tech tree to be deactivated. However, doing so does create what we'll call a research core debt. This means you won't be able to acquire more unassigned cores until you've replaced the cores you've previously removed. The number of available cores displayed in the tech tree essentially represents the total cores you've placed, minus the quantity you've activated. However, the UI itself never shows a value below 0. To rectify your core debt, simply place back the cores you've moved. Once done, you'll be able to acquire more unassigned cores again. Remember, Techtonica gives you the flexibility to adapt and optimize your layout over time. Don't be afraid to adjust your setup to meet your evolving needs in the game. As we've already mentioned, unlocking new technologies is crucial for progressing in Techtonica. Let's delve into two specific technologies that might be a bit misleading at first glance. Two of these that are worth highlighting are mass collect and mass erase. While their names might imply certain functions, their actual uses are slightly different than what you might initially think. Contrary to what its name might suggest, mass collect doesn't allow you to gather large amounts of plants simultaneously. For that function, the mole gun serves as an effective alternative currently. What mass collect does allow, however, is the simultaneous collection of items from multiple belts and/or machines. To use it, press and hold E or the corresponding collect button on your controller to activate mass collect mode. Then, drag a box around the objects you wish to collect items from. Once you're satisfied with your selection, press E or collect again to collect them all at once. If you change your mind, you can initiate another action to cancel the process. Mass erase, on the other hand, allows you to dismantle or erase multiple buildables at once. It operates in a very similar manner to mass collect. To use mass erase, you just need to enter erase mode, then drag a box around the objects you want to remove. As you advance in the game, you can upgrade these technologies to allow for larger scale collection and erasure. Now that you've learned how to effectively manage your inventory and structures, let's talk about expansion. As you continue to build your factory, you'll find that verticality becomes an important factor. This brings us to our next tip. In Techtonica, power floors are vital components as they serve as conduits, carrying electricity from your generators to your machines. However, it's important to note that their associated stairs are not designed to transmit power vertically. But don't worry, there is a workaround for this. You achieve vertical power transmission by stacking power floors either upwards or downwards, effectively bridging the different levels in your factory. Mastering the distribution of power is crucial to operating a successful and efficient factory. By now, you should have a pretty good idea of the power transmission process, but knowing how to distribute power isn't enough. Let's talk about something crucial to keep in mind right from the start of the game: power automation. Here's the sixth tip I wish I'd known sooner. A crucial strategy in the early game of Techtonica revolves around power automation. There's no need to keep laboriously turning those crank generators. Instead, embrace the power of accumulators. Once you've placed a sufficient amount of power floors, you'll receive a notification signaling the completion of deciphering signal AS2013. Responding to this notification involves interacting with the radio at Victor Terminal, which in turn will make a beacon appear on your screen. Follow this beacon and it will lead you to the accumulator substation. Here you can scan and research accumulators. But there's more. The substation already has 10 pre-placed accumulators, providing an immediate power boost. To leverage this power, connect your factory's power floors to those at the accumulator substation. The surplus power from your cranks will start to charge these accumulators. Once your cranks cease operation, the power stored in the accumulators will slowly drain, sustaining your factory operation for longer intervals. This strategy will save you from the task of manually turning the crank generators every few minutes. However, be aware that once the accumulators fully deplete, you'll need to start cranking again to recharge them. For even more power, head directly north of Victor Terminal. Here, hidden away and possibly requiring a bit of excavation, is the hydro power station. Similar to the accumulator substation, this facility houses 2 pre-placed water wheels. Each of these water wheels can turn 2 crank generators for you, offering a potential 600 kilowatts of automated power right from the get-go. Just remember, you'll need to run some power floors back to your base to harness this energy. However you decide to do that is up to you. By combining the 600 kilowatts from the hydro power station with the power from the accumulator substation, you'll get a significant respite from the crank-turning chore, granting you more time to focus on other aspects of the game. Even with this setup, though, you will occasionally need to crank the generators again. Keep this in mind, as maintaining your power supply is a crucial part of playing the game. Okay, we've looked at power automation, but once you've got that handled, it's time to fine-tune your system for optimum efficiency. Let's move on to our 7th tip, which is about getting the ratios just right. Our 7th tip will guide you on how to effectively set up your power automation once you unlock water wheels. This new technology will completely eliminate your dependency on manual crank generators. The cardinal rule here is this: each water wheel you install can effectively drive a maximum of 2 crank generators. Attempting to attach more than 2 cranks to a single water wheel will not yield any additional power. However, there's no limit to the number of water wheels and crank generator pairs you can string together in a single line. Your only restriction is the terrain on which you're building. The crucial aspect to remember when creating this power chain is to stick to the optimum ratio. Always maintain 2 cranks for every 1 water wheel. By adhering to this 2-to-1 ratio, you'll ensure the highest possible efficiency for your water wheel-based power automation setup. Keep these ratios in mind, and you'll be on your way to mastering power management in the game. We've covered some crucial aspects of power automation and efficiency. Now, let's talk about locating essential items that will greatly enhance your Techtonica experience. Our 8th tip will show you how to find the planter and thresher items with ease. At some point in your Techtonica journey, you'll hear Sparks mentioning the planter and thresher. If you're struggling to find these items, don't worry, there's a simple solution. Begin by building and placing 5 crank generators on your power floors. Go ahead and give them a crank. Shortly afterwards, the system will inform you that deciphering task RH1979 has been completed. Head over to the radio at Victor Terminal, and upon interaction, a new beacon will appear on your heads-up display. Grab one of your cranks and navigate towards the beacon. Inside, you'll find a treasure trove of threshers and planters for you to scan, along with some additional bonuses. Speaking of exploring, while you're exploring and following Spark's directions to various beacons, you might find certain locations challenging to access. Sometimes you might even spot a destination but find it seemingly unreachable. A certain EB beacon comes to mind, seemingly locked behind an unminable ore. This is where the mining charge comes into play. Around the same time you learn about this elusive beacon, you're likely to have scanned another crucial item, the mining charge. Before attempting to reach the challenging beacon, make sure to unlock the mining charge technology and prepare some of these explosives. When you reach the blocked path, simply toss the mining charge on the wall and interact with it to activate. The mining charge will prove to be an essential tool in your arsenal, solving access issues in the most satisfying way. Remember, in Techtonica, sometimes the best approach is to make your own path. As you gain more experience and unlock advanced technologies, the game's world becomes even more intriguing. Our 10th tip introduces you to a unique tool that will revolutionize your resource hunting endeavors, the powerful OmniSeeker. This device helps you locate various elements within the world, and while it may seem a little clunky and unrefined at first, it has one very significant function that cannot be overlooked. When you first hold the OmniSeeker, you'll start noticing question marks popping up in your heads-up display. As you approach these markers, the OmniSeeker will discover that they're buildables or other things within the game and record them as a frequency. To select which frequency you want to search for, simply click the right mouse button and use the scroll wheel to find the frequency you want to scan for. The real power of the OmniSeeker comes into play when you start searching for ore nodes. These nodes can sometimes be quite hidden, and the OmniSeeker can assist in locating them. Once you've acquired the frequency for a particular type of ore, select it in the OmniSeeker and start scanning your surroundings. On the OmniSeeker's screen, a 0 means there's nothing of that resource in the direction you're pointing. However, when the number begins to change, it signifies you're pointing towards that resource. The higher the number, the closer you are to the resource node. Despite its initially seemingly lack of polish, the OmniSeeker is an invaluable tool for finding hidden resource nodes scattered around the map. Use it wisely and you'll have an even more resource-rich factory to build upon in your Techtonica journey. And that concludes our list of 10 things I wish I knew sooner about Techtonica. Remember, this game is all about exploration, experimentation, and patience. Every decision can open up new opportunities and discoveries, so keep pushing those boundaries. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit the like button, share it with your fellow gamers, and subscribe for more insights. Don't forget to tap the bell icon too, so you'll never miss out on our new content. We're eager to hear your thoughts and tips as well. Share them in the comment section below. Thank you for tuning in, and as always, happy gaming. Keep on innovating in Techtonica, and I'll see you next time.